For the applicants in the audience, when you come up to the podium, please sign in with your, name and your address so that we know who's speaking and who spoke during the meeting. These do get recorded and we do minutes from the recordings. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Push the button so that the microphone comes on. Makes it easier for me to hear you when you're talking on the video.
I guess the meeting comes on. And if you'd like to sign in, if you haven't done it already. Okay.
If you're gonna say anything, just sign.
If you're going to say, just sign in.
Keeps you from having to do that.
First thing is approval of the minutes from February 8th.
I'll make a motion that we approve them. Second.
Any discussion?
Second.
All in favor, just raise your hand.
That's what Tim said, Danny, when we first got here, there's another meeting following this one.
Okay, new business? Any old business?
There is no old business.
New business?
The first item under new business is TMS number 14502100004, 109 Pine Grove Avenue, Zone GR2, General Residential, owned by Larry and Roberta Knox. Variance request to reduce the required side yard setback for an accessory structure from 10 feet to 7 feet. Ordinance section 2.7.4B. And let me get to the plan here. The need for setback variance was determined at the time of application for a building permit. The property is located in the historic district, and any future structure will require approval by the BAR. The applicant is proposing to pour a slab for a future structure to be built at a later date. When this was being reviewed by the staff planner, it was in the required setback as a slab. It's without a structure on it. It is permitted to be within that area. It can encroach into that setback. But because they're proposing to possibly put a structure on it in the future, it wouldn't be beneficial to the property owner to allow them to pour the slab, put it in, and then when they apply for the future carport or whatever structure it is they're planning on putting on this slab, and tell them, no, you can't put it there. So what they're doing is doing a preemptive application to potentially allow that to go in this location without a structure in place at this time. But the intent is for future structure later. But staff's review of the application is as follow. There is not a hardship present. The four criteria, according to staff, is this: extraordinary conditions do not exist on the property. This is a large property, and it would be possible to modify the plan to meet the required 10-foot setback for an accessory structure. B, other property in the area do have similar lot shapes and sizes. C, utilization of the property is not eliminated due to the required setbacks. And D, I apologize, detriment will not be caused to other properties by the issuance of this variance on this property. So they meet one of the criteria according to my evaluation. The applicants are here. I can turn this over to them and they can go over their application with you and their evaluation if you have any questions for them.
I'm Larry Knox. This is my wife, Robin. We've lived at that address since like 1985. Our property sits, we do have a large lot, but as you can see from the plat, it's sort of a pie shape. All our house, our patios, our privacy fencing, everything, even though our driveway parallels that angled lot line, our house and everything else is squared to Pine Grove Avenue. We didn't want a carport. We have had, I don't know if you can look at that second picture there, shows us kind of down our driveway. we set a good ways back from the road. That privacy fencing was redone just last summer. Probably the next page, you can see where the gate is. We've had that canopy in there for more than 10 years over our boat. I replaced the tarp on that thing about every 2-3 years, and we're tired of it. We'd like to do something that looks better for the neighborhood even, but luckily we have good neighbors that haven't complained about that. There's another picture there that shows the leading edge inside the fence, and we're about more than 13 feet on that side from the line. This is going to be built inside the backyard, inside that privacy fence. The next photo shows that, and it's about 7 feet from the line there. I kind of measured that from, they had, no one had lived in that house for more than 5 years. It's, I think the next door neighbor to that owns that property, and they have cleaned up that back, was all grown up until just a couple of months ago. But the rear of that property, the closest thing is maybe their back of a carport or garage they have on that property, maybe 80 feet from the property line. So that house sits, maybe 120 or so feet back from the property line. That's just inside our gate. Pardon? No, it is Keeley, Kenny, and I forgot Jackman are co-owners of that. I'd like to build that in the future. That was kind of for June. Son-in-laws and I work well together and have built several things, but that's the ultimate plan. I kind of rewrote our the conditions on that, the extraordinary and those various ones there. I've rewritten that, but when I redid that fence, that gate has been there. Our driveway would have to be relocated to move this over to those gate posts themselves are set in massive, because they're 2 6-foot gates, and they were set in massive concrete mushrooms to prevent sagging over time. And just to move them would be a major project to reroute that and to remove additional shrubbery and the driveway, the end of our driveway to line up to make it to that fence. We're not willing to do that. And if we can't do this, then, we'll probably continue with our canopy over the boat until such times that our kids get home and we maybe get them to keep the boat at their house.
Just for clarity, when I first read this material, I had the impression that those gate posts you were talking about were out by the road, and that's clearly not the case. You're talking about in that fence that you showed us the picture of. There's deep set gate posts right there.
They are.
Okay. Thank you.
We were originally told that the code only references 5 feet. And so based on that, it's the pad that you see in those photos. We had Tony Jefferson do the pad, replace the driveway. My daughters kind of did that when they first bought that house, it was a mess over in the country club area, but we got him to redo that. And Tony's done a couple of things for me since. I called Tony right after that when I got that initial 5 feet. The code only references 5 feet. I called Tony and talked to him about doing the slab, and Tony came over. He's a nice guy, but brought and we set a grade stake for where that. So I did that while I was applying for the permit. So it's the corner, I mean, you can, where the pad is the 7 feet. Pardon me? No, that backmost corner. Yes. The front corner's over 13 feet, closer to,
Is the front of that pad and so then the front of what you're planning to build, is that right against the gate, the fence?
no, it sets off probably 14 to 16 inches inside the fence
A foot or a foot and a half, something like that.
at most, yes.
Okay.
So the side setback is how much supposed to be? 10 feet? It's supposed to be-
Yes, it's supposed to be 10
Width?
feet.
Is that right,
Yes.
Jim?
I'm sorry.
The side is 10
But
feet?
yes, for an accessory structure, which will be built on this in the future, the required side setback is 10 feet.
Tim, do you have any idea where their confusion would have come from with a 5-foot setback?
I can't say, somebody might have just misread or maybe viewed this as a rear property line. Sides are 10, rear is 5 for an accessory structure. It's kind of
I got that
set up
from-
for a more traditional lot setup to get a larger side setback to give more space between properties.
I got that from Mr. Brown. Gave me that 5-foot reference, but he did later after I got the 10-foot ruling, said that, well, everything has to go to the planning review board. So that's.
Well, if you were talking to Don Brown, who's a building official, that would be the building separation for fire protection purposes. That's that minimum separation from a property line. But that is a different code. That's the building code and fire protection versus zoning. So unfortunately, he only speaks for the building code.
My question is that 10 feet standard throughout the town, or is that just for that?
In this
district?
zoning district, yes,
That
GR2.
zoning district.
Yes, so GR2, which is our single family lowest density, and the vast majority of the historic district is zone GR2. So that required setback does exist throughout the entire district for accessory structures.
Thank you.
Tim, the setback requirement on the rear property line is 5 feet.
Yes.
It's hard to tell what's side and what's rear on this property shape.
So the way our determination is the front is always where it's addressed off of, generally speaking. So the way I interpret this, as well as the way that Becca Zimmerman, our staff planner, would interpret this, Pine Grove is your front. So regardless of the shape of that, that's your front. Opposite that, so this back line here is going to be your rear property line. And these sides, this is going to be a side, and this side, even though it's got a little dog leg here to the right, that would be a side property line as well. So that's my interpretation of the plat, and that is where that required setback comes from.
Any other questions? Any more comments? Do I hear a
I
motion?
make a motion that we approve the request.
A second.
I make a motion that we approve the request.
A second one more time.
All right, thank you. Then we can do the findings for the conditions. The 4 conditions. So who has, does anybody have anything to contribute for extraordinary conditions? So there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property, which could exist due to topography, street widening, or other conditions which make it difficult or impossible to make an economically feasible use of the property.
Slide back so we can read it again.
Just for clarity for our guests here, what's going on here is whatever the four of us may think of your application and whether it's right or not, we are bound by state law that there's only so, in certain conditions, can we approve it, even if we like it.
I mean, the economically, that's right. Just move, and it's not going to be parallel to the house and the patio. See by the shape of the property. So long as it's parallel. Without moving the entire. It's plan, it's just pocket, you know, to move that back. You have to move it all. So I don't agree with him that we don't meet that requirement.
Go ahead.
If
I have a suggestion, okay? And they may not agree with it. But we're talking about 3 feet.
Just on one corner,
Uh,
the
no,
rest is.
Yeah, but it's 3 feet. If you cut the corner off, that doesn't solve the problem because, all right.
I see.
Now, if you can move the slab, okay, and I think it'd be very difficult to move the whole slab. But one possibility would be to trim the slab. That would be one possibility. I don't know what these people feel, okay? Just an alternative is just trim that little bit off that slab. And if you want to make the same size, then you can pour another side on the other side to compensate for it. Or make whatever structure, and I don't know how it'd fit in, just that thing. So then you won't have to move the slab. You can do something like that. That would be, okay, that would be an option. And it would be depending upon what they all say, whether
They
to
can
approve.
still have to be moved.
Well, you'd have to, the structure would end up being moved over, but you would be able to just pour 3 feet on the inside. Okay,
I think, Dennis,
mean?
correct me if I'm wrong.
pardon?
You're suggesting, so up here on the screen, to shave 3 feet off instead of having 32 feet of width here.
Oh,
You
no,
would
that's
have
length.
29 feet.
No.
Or, okay, I'm sorry. Well,
What
you
I
could
would,
do
su- okay,
a little
excuse me,
bit of
what
both.
I'm suggestion would be on the side that goes too close to the adjacent property. I'm not taking the depth of the house or the structure. I'm talking about the width. So you take 3 feet from the left, as we're looking at it from the left side, cut it off and pour it on the right side. It's going to be far enough back from your house, I think, that would not really show up. And then you can put your structure on that you want. That's, I don't know. So if we disapprove this, that would be an option. You'd have to come forward again and say, okay, I want to do this. Okay. That's,
Well, we have never had storms come and go, and we've never had a place to put 2 vehicles under a cover.
I can understand.
And the tighter, the smaller it is, and I don't know, we have, with that boat there, we've never had that. That's kind of a sore spot with family talking about where that stays, but um, I don't know if we cut that down, we're gonna be, it'll be a one vehicle comfortably, and I don't know, we wanted to, this was just our kind of a dream plan, and you know,
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is trying to maintain your dream plan of being 22, whatever that is. God. I'm sorry. That's my phone.
I-
You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Dennis is
That way,
talking, Dennis is
in one
talking
way,
about,
you're sliding the slab over.
is that a slab currently poured or is it just gravel?
oh, no, I mean, it's,
Gravel.
I mean, it's graded already, it's ready. to be poured.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not- It's not poured.
the footing's not into that. After, we had canceled this whole thing, when we had to go 10 feet, we're gonna cancel. I already had the footing dug, and we had the steel, and Tony looked it over and, you know, gave me some pointers on doing that. I was doing that to try and save some money.
Mhm.
By doing that, paying myself to dig that, I borrowed a tractor to spread all that, and then after it came back 10 feet, we don't want to move that over so it's right on top of our patio. I mean, we do have a large lot, and we've got plenty of room on that leading edge right there, and that's right where the canopy has always been, the boat has always been parked. The gate posts are established there. But after that, I canceled that, and of course, I copied Mayor Waring on that, and he was interested in that and said, you know, can we reinstate this and go for the variance? So that's what we've done, and
Okay.
what else to say?
Well, thank you.
The way that I see it, and you correct me if I'm wrong, those posts appear to be on this picture that I'm looking at, the posts appear to be right on the edge of the structure that you're going to build.
No, they're centered on it. They are centered on that slab or the pad.
Centered or, but anyway, what I'm getting at is I think if you moved or enlarged that pad, it's going to mess up, as you have said, those posts.
It will.
The gate, whatever you want to call it. So I see that as a difficult situation to work around. And that if it's not this way, then they're probably not going to be able to do it. And looking at this thing, I'm glad you finally mentioned, it's going to encroach almost on your patio, on your porch, whatever that is back there. You'd be right up against it, it looks like to me. So I don't know that you have many options.
How far apart is the slab in the house?
Is the slab from the house?
Yeah,
Well, well, even with the back edge of the house is a patio that goes out even to it lines up with the privacy fence is in line with the back of the patio. It goes that way.
And it's off the house, right off the back.
Yeah, it's right against the back of the house, but in line with that privacy fence. There's probably
Not much.
not much between there and the patio from the edge of this pad.
does it need to be the full 32 feet deep?
Well, that canopy is 30 feet, and the boat with the tongue and the stern drive part is pretty close to that. That's why the 30, and I thought we'd get the extra couple of feet. It's 30 feet. So if we did 32, we've got plenty, but
The slab is 30 feet.
32 feet.
Oh,
The carport is 30.
oh, but
We're gonna build June when our son-in-law.
but the slab that's there now, I mean, this slab outline that we're looking at is 32
Yes.
feet.
Yes.
So you're saying if you look at the front of that if you look at the front of that pad, that's not finished, is 32 feet, but you really need at least 30 feet. That gives you that 2 feet of special,
If I cut 2 feet off the length though, I'm still gonna be probably 8 feet, or if that's what you're getting at, if I cut back on that end, I'm still gonna be maybe 8 feet at most.
any other? Okay. All in favor of the,
We haven't finished the
You gotta-
criteria.
You gotta do the
let's continue then. Let's show that picture
I
again,
mean-
slide.
Which one do you want?
the conditions.
Conditions.
Can you make that a little bigger, Tim?
Make it bigger.
Yeah, please.
My only comment, I think, Tim, is that the extraordinary conditions don't exist. I'm not sure I totally agree with that because of the proximity to the back porch and the gates and all that are already out there. I think that is an extraordinary condition to some extent, that they have to work around to get what they want to accomplish. The way I look at it.
So in other words, what you're saying is existing conditions do exist on the, extraordinary conditions do exist on the property because of the existing conditions of the placement of the house, the patio, et cetera,
The gate,
and the gate.
that's just my opinion.
One could argue perhaps the kind of the shape of the lot, which is tending toward a triangular, make for an extraordinary condition with something. You can make an argument of what is in fact the back property line there,
And the house is already there, so they're having to work around all of that.
all prior to zoning ordinances.
Mhm.
Any other discussion?
Well, we need to discuss the other conditions as well.
Other property here do not have similar lot shapes and sizes?
Similar sizes, but not the same shape.
Well, and that is the rear, the corner is at the rear of the property we're talking about, getting close to, not the side. That's Main Street.
Yeah, we understand.
So we're at the rear of their property.
What is the setback on the rear?
5 feet.
Here's where the problem was. Other property owners have similar lot shapes and sizes.
I didn't quite understand that, but
Well, the question is, does everybody have that kind of problem?
Well, nobody has a lot of specific.
So
shapes.
that means that they,
They're all different shapes.
Yeah.
All different sizes, all.
Utilization?
well, following the arguments for that being extraordinary conditions, they do substantially limit the effectively prohibit, a reasonable use of the property.
And I can-
Unreasonably restrict the utilization, put it that way.
And there won't be any detriment to other properties because of this variance that I'm aware of. No
Since
na-
it's
no
way,
neighbors
since
are
it's way
here.
in your neighbor's way in the back of their lot.
No neighbors showed up for the meeting.
That property's been abandoned.
well, but I think of in the future, any future property owners are gonna have something better to look at than that canopy over there.
Yeah, that's right.
Hopefully,
It's an improvement, that's right.
hopefully.
All right. Anything else? I think, the utilization of property is not eliminated due to the setbacks. I can see that. True. Detriment will not be caused to other properties by the issue of this variance. Since the back of their properties, other people's 5 and yours is 10 because it's a side. That's a big difference, 5 feet. Any other comments before we vote? Okay. Those in favor of giving the variance, raise right hand or left hand. Okay. That's all in favor. Thank you very much.
We can do it.
Yep.
As, on the future for the bar, is that, I will have to do that setup for a future, another meeting?
Yeah, you'll have to present your design for the structure to the Board of Architectural Review.
Okay, okay. All right, fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah, you overcome the hurdle of the variance.
Pardon?
You overcome the hurdle of the variance
Well,
by getting
and
a
that
variance.
was
Okay,
the biggest thing.
All right.
This
Thank
is
you.
a good, I think, a
Next.
nice plan.
yeah, let's go.
Thank you.
Was that? Yep. So the second item on the agenda is TMS number 1371005001302 Rutherford Street, Zone GR5, General Residential, owned by Brian and Andriana Tootin. Variance request to allow a proposed accessory structure to exceed the height of the primary structure by no more than 2 feet. Ordinance section 2.7.5B. So let me, I apologize, get to the next page. There we go. So staff comments. There we go. So the need for the height variance was determined at the time of application for a building permit. The property is located in the historic district and any structure will require approval by the BAR. The applicant is proposing to build a detached accessory structure garage with living space above the garage, requiring a. Yep. Requiring a taller structure to meet code requirements. Staff feels that the applicant does not meet all 4 criteria and that a hardship is not present. So extraordinary conditions do exist. The primary structure is a small cottage, and to be able to meet building code requirements for living space above the garage, the height of the roof line is pushed higher than the existing structure's maximum height. Other property in the area do have similar building sizes. C, utilization of the property is not eliminated, but would be greatly impacted, and the additional living space would not be able to be constructed above the garage. And D, detriment will not be caused to other properties by the issuance of this variance on this property. And that's my evaluation. I do have 2 letters sent in by neighbors of concern that they have asked me to read these into the record. So with your permission, I can read them in at this time, or if you'd like me to wait, it's up to you. All right. So
Tim, so in staff's evaluation, only one of the 4 criteria is not met, is that right?
2 are being met according to my evaluation. I did not feel that there would be a major detriment caused to other properties, with the approval of it going up to 2 feet. I do feel that there are extraordinary conditions. The primary structure on this is a small cottage, and it's got a fairly low top gable. So to be able to get a properly sized garage and then living space above, the code requires certain height and et cetera. So it pushes the overall height of that gable line above the primary structure height. So that I felt that those two criteria were being met. As I said, B, there's a line of these small cottages here on Rutherford. So they don't have the large accessory structure. And I did feel that utilization of the property would not be eliminated if we denied it, but it would be impacted. So the two letters are very similar. 302 Rutherford Street, proposed garage concerns, the size. The accessory structure dominates the main structure on the property. The owner had to know what they were buying. Now they want more space and are willing to sacrifice the appearance of the property and neighborhood with the size and height of this garage building. The garage design does not blend with the present main structure. The proposed addition of dormers to the existing building will detract from the historic appearance of the existing residence. The building of new additional structures on properties within the historic district need to be evaluated on a case basis. The total appearance needs to be considered to ensure it will not detract from the existing buildings and surrounding properties. This property and other properties on Southampton Street received recognition from the Preservation Society for maintaining the appearance of the neighborhood. It would be sad to see such a dramatic change that would detract from the existing buildings. As I said, the other one is very similar. The size overpowers the main structure on the property. The proposed garage should not be taller or wider than the existing primary structure. Concerning the design, the garage design does not enhance the present main structure. The proposed addition of dormers to the existing building will detract from the appearance of the existing residence and will not make the garage blend with the main structure. The building of the new additional structures on properties within the historic district need to be evaluated on a case basis. The total appearance needs to be considered to ensure they'll not detract from the existing buildings and surrounding properties. My parents' properties on Rutherford Street and Southampton Street received recognition from the Preservation Society for maintaining the appearance of the neighborhood. It would be sad to see such a dramatic change that would take away from the existing cohesive appearance and structure of each property. These were submitted by the neighbors, the Buddens. And we did not receive any other calls.
Let me ask Tim, is that, I mean, that's building appearance, which really isn't our issue.
They're objecting to the height and mass of the accessory structure. So the reason why it needs to come here is because it is limited to no taller than the primary structure. Reasoning behind that is because your primary structure should be primary. It should be the largest and be the most quote unquote important part of the property. It should be the most important part, the primary structure. So an accessory structure by definition would be smaller and subservient to the primary structure. By taking the accessory structure above the height of the primary structure, which one is the primary structure? So that's what they're objecting to, is it's not consistent with the size and scale and massing of the existing structure. Not to put words into what was written, but in conversations, that's what has been expressed. So.
Can we hear from the applicant,
Would
please?
you please be quiet back there?
We are in a meeting, so if we could please keep that down in the back.
I'm sorry. So when we talk about living space, we want to make sure that we are on the same page, that the goal for the living space is not for us to rent it out. We want to have attic space. We have a very small hole, to have a very small space in our 900 square foot cottage. So right now, all of our treasures from our childhood are sitting in a storage unit that's unconditioned because we don't have that storage space. So we've downsized significantly, and we just want to have a little extra space. And a home office would be really nice, so that we can have our guests in our home as opposed to having to put them at a hotel. So that, I just wanted to clarify the living space.
She said.
All right, any questions?
Does this have to, Tim, does this go before Architecture Review Committee?
Yes.
And has it already done that?
No, it's going immediately following.
Oh, you're on the meeting after this? Okay. Okay.
I'll say when I drove, I mean, to comment on these conditions, condition B, other property in the area do have similar building sizes. Some do, but there's quite a variety of building sizes in there. So I would differ with Tim's assessment there that, other properties, differ. They don't have the same situation. There's just a variety there. I'll say that when I drove through it, what struck me the most, I mean, we were evaluating it for specifically height, but it struck me that it, just exactly what these letters said was that there's not many buildings in the area that have a garage facing the road, and, that's pretty substantial change in the appearance. But I don't think that's what we're to evaluate. So as far as building height, add to the extraordinary conditions that there's a variety of homes in the area, a variety of heights and such. And while it, the proposed building height might exceed it on this property, other properties in the area have building heights of higher.
I have a question. What's the dimension? Well, how old is your house?
The front portion, which is the peak.
No, how old?
So the front portion is 1860s, is what we understand it.
In the depth?
Is 50 feet, it's 25 by 50.
But that bottom structure is dates back that far.
Um, I think there was a addition in the 50s
Mhm.
for the rear portion of the home.
That's the lower portion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you look at that picture that he has on the screen,
Yeah.
right, Tim, just left of that first window, from right to left. Yes, so that is that front portion of the home that was original. And we believe that it was mid-50s that they added that rear portion on.
Any other questions? Any other questions? And I know that this is not part of it, and I couldn't get this on my computer because we only got part of it on mine. What is this, basically, what is the square footage of the garage versus the house?
Footprint's 790 square feet. 24 by 30.
So that the ground floor of the garage is not bigger than your house?
No, sir.
Okay, that was the question. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Can I make a motion?
Lionel, do you have a question?
No, I'm good.
Your turn.
I make a motion that we approve the request?
You have a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion?
No.
Okay. All in favor, raise your right hand.
We do need to do the,
Pardon?
I think we've covered all that.
okay, so I can pull them from our discussion considering time constraints.
Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate your time. We just want to do the house justice.
No, go ahead.
A little extra space. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other business?
There is no other business.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Em, you need this? I hope it goes well. Wayne? Yes. How are you? Good.
All time to see, sir. How are you?
I'm sorry? When you come up, yes. Mhm.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Philip Dixon, Chairman of the Board of Architecture Review, and we welcome you to our Board of Architecture Review meeting tonight. It's now 6 o'clock on the 12th of April, 2022, the time scheduled for our meeting to begin. Depending on the size and complexity of a project, each applicant has the opportunity to present a conceptual or master plan for our review prior to committing funds for a full set of design plans and specifications. Approval of a concept means that we might agree with the concept while disagreeing with some of the details. It also means that each phase of the project must be submitted at a later date once plans are more fully developed to obtain the board's final approval for that individual portion of the project. Hopefully, any disagreements will have been worked out before the applicant comes out before the board. Several of the projects being reviewed this evening have been submitted before and are now ready to be considered for further approval. For those of you who may be new to our meeting, our charge is to look at each project purely on the aesthetics, design, architecture, height, mass, and scale, and in harmony with the historic district in the town of Somerville. We look at the overall street scene. Although we are not required to solicit comments from anyone other than the applicant and the board members, except for demolition requests, we usually choose to allow others to express comments that might help influence our decision-making after the applicant has presented the project and the board members have resolved any questions they might have. Because of the number of projects we have to review this evening, we ask that anyone wishing to comment to please try to limit your comments to not more than 5 minutes if possible. As always, we will review each submittal in the order that it was submitted. However, as a first order of business, we must approve the minutes of our last meeting, which were sent to board members for review prior to this meeting. Are there any changes that need to be made, or do I have a motion that they be accepted in a second?
So moved. I'll second.
Please respond with a yes or no when I call your name. David?
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And mine is yes. The first project on our list tonight is 100 East Carolina Avenue. Or is Andrew or Haley here? Wanna come up and tell us about it?
Good, how are you?
Doing great. So if we remember from our last meeting, some of the feedback we had was for Rebecca Didn't really like the transition from the hardy siding down to 4-inch bump out when we were gonna wrap with brick. Looking at possibly switching over to a brick veneer, kind of a little too pricey, so we took her suggestion and changed it to a tabby stucco detail. One of the other things that we changed to was having a beefier windowsill. So swap that out. It was a 2x2 hardy sill. I'm swapping it out to a 2x4 pressure treated for the windowsill. And then kind of the last comment that we had, Tim, I believe you wanted to see it raised a little bit more, so I bumped up the foundation to 28 inches, and the front porch is gonna get 24 inches. So kind of hit everything you guys requested.
Any questions?
No.
Well, I had a question about the transition from the clapboard to the foundation. It appears to be a detail on the front porch, but on the sides, I don't know how to manipulate this thing around.
I got you.
Yeah. So there needs to be some sort of a base to that clapboard detail. That the clapboard doesn't just go down and run into the stucco foundation.
This is Tim. All the changes, wow, that's really loud. All the changes were great. And we thank you for doing them. I'm happy with everything you've got on there. I think it looks great. Thank you for raising the grade up a little bit. And I agree with David on the base foundation. So typically what we have is a band board that goes all the way around with a drip cap on top of that. Super easy detail, but it just makes that transition so that the clapboard siding comes down properly. It's separated from the tabby stucco bottom. And it's a very easy detail to accomplish, but other than that, it's my only comment.
Yeah, I'm good with all the changes. I think they definitely enhance the house and I think it'll be beautiful on that piece of property.
That was the only comment I had.
I don't know if it matters, but on the plot plan, the arc driveway is not gonna be quite that long. A little bit longer than I requested, so I am gonna shorten that up a little
Okay.
bit. I will actually look at it.
Do y'all have any comments on the garage that was included this time?
Any other?
I really don't.
Do we have a motion?
All right, this is Tim. I'll make the motion that we approve as submitted with the addition of a 8 to 10 inch. Trying to think of what that detail is called. Having a brain cramp here. We'll just call it a band, 8 to 10 inch band around the bottom with a drip cap on top of that, wood drip cap on top.
Second,
Second.
okay. Please respond with yes or no when I call your name. David,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
and I say yes. So we,
All right.
Stay.
Good luck. Have fun.
our next project is 212 South Gum Street.
I do have a letter for this one. This is from Mr. Peter Gorman at 313 South Magnolia Street. Ms. Zimmerman, I wish to comment on the 3-5-22 agenda item, old business item number 2. I previously objected to the front facade proposal for this renovation project 1 block from my house at 313 South Magnolia Street. The facade renovations are much better than previously considered by the BAR, but I am still concerned about the left roof altitude on the front facade being asymmetrical to the the right roof facade, excuse me. The appearance creates an uncomfortable imbalance in the front facade that appears to serve no purpose. If it would be lowered to match the right wing of the roof facade, I believe the final project will be an improvement to the East Historic District.
Well, I cut the office. Everything else is the same.
Do you want to just explain what's changed here? They haven't seen it in a little bit.
I think the last meeting, everybody wanted us to not encroach on existing property line with more of the front structure. So the option was to delete the office. Basically, we got rid of the office in the front, lowered the.
This is new, this is existing.
Where there was a porch, we eliminated the porch, took that bump out and turned it into kind of a hallway to get into the second bedroom down there.
So he's stepping back. And it's kind of back behind. I think it sticks out. You can see it. I know this has been painful. And so I just want to apologize because I know it's been back and forth.
Everybody has their perspective and I said.
Well, we appreciate it.
My perspective is right. It is relevant.
I understand.
I
Well,
respect everybody's opinion on everything.
well, we appreciate it. Thank you. And we all just do it to try to keep our town super nice and keep it a wonderful place to live. So thank you for working on it. I think the improvements are a tremendous improvement and I appreciate it. My only question is from the comment that she read, that Becca read. On that left side, David, is there anything in that space up there? Is that usable space or is that just attic space up there?
Just primarily roof line to come up and make that left side, we raised that ridge up so we could extend the back part of it that you can see from the side street.
Becca, if you could go to the front elevation. So when we look right there on those two, on the right-hand side, you see how much lower that ridge line is than the left-hand side. It's the way I'm looking at it. I'm sorry.
A lot better than
It's
last time.
the
But
opposite
we had to change.
of that.
So, yeah, basically we took it back down to the original ridge height.
Right. Gotcha.
Right, make the left side work out. That ridge got raised, so we didn't have such a long sloping rafter that we turned in the very first time we showed it. I agree with all the comments there that we're trying to design to get comments.
And help me refresh my memory on what was a long sloping rafter. I don't
You
remember.
can go back to that side elevation. So what we had originally, we had the back portion of that addition was a much longer sloping rafter, and that ridge on that side came down, and the rafter above the window left met right at the ridge, if I recall correctly.
Right. Gotcha.
So it looked like one long.
Yes, I remember that now. Yeah.
It didn't look aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a much improved from that. So my question would be and I can't quite read what that slope is. That's a 10 on 12.
We did a 10, 12 to match the existing gate. That's why we came back to 10, 12. So
And what's the slope on the other one? It's just a 512 on the other side. I'm just zooming in here on that set of plans. 512. Oh, 712. 712 on the new construction, I think, right? Oh, no, that's existing. I'm sorry. No, that's existing.
And also front.
Well, the front part, yeah.
Back part's five, the front's 10. Couldn't really raise that up higher without going out.
No, correct. Yes. So let me ask you, if on if you'll go back to the front elevation, could, yeah, would you be opposed to that? If you went to an 8?
I'd have done it 30 days.
Well, I'm not going to make you resubmit it. I'm just, it was a,
It doesn't bother me. It does bother me looking at it now, because it is that much higher than the right side.
yeah,
I didn't think you'd like it either, but I wanted to throw it out there and.
Yeah.
Scramble snakes. Problems with 8, that's where it's not. Or where try to get the ridge closer to the ridge on the right side.
you're right, right. I don't know they have to match exactly, but if they were more in proportion to each other, I think it would be better.
There's nothing up there. It can go either way.
Yeah,
Just brushing
Okay.
back in here and everything else. I was concentrated on the right side.
sure. Well, that would be my only comment. I'll pass to my other board members. Thank you.
My comment would be on some final detailing of the cross-member porch railing. It looks currently like it's in there just to show us kind of what it looks like, but
Excuse me, just one second. We're not changing anything on that. They're just trying to show it for you. That's not changing. That's existing. What's there. Now, it may not match what's existing, but we're not changing any of that rail.
So it'll be the really large X.
right. But the issue I was drawing was that usually that railing will have a beefier member at the top and the bottom, and the crosses will be.
Yeah, it's existing. We weren't planning on touching it. That's all.
He's
Just
512 and here he's at 1012. So if you can bring that down to a 6 or a 7 or 8 or something, make it better. So there's kind of the picture, so you can kind of see
Yeah.
that they're mimicking that.
Okay.
And David, I actually misspoke because there was one last thing. The same detail that we had on the previous applicant. If you look at slide that up just a little bit, Becca, so you can see the existing and the new at the same time. See the band at the bottom that was existing on the original house, or go to the side elevation, you can see it better.
Not sure if it's there. I'd have to go back and look because our designer.
Yeah,
sometimes his
see
details-
there was a band, he's drawn it on the existing, and we would want that on the new as well. And it is, I'm looking at the photograph, it is there.
The porch band is, but the bottom band at the siding is not.
Looks like it is in these pictures I'm looking at. Can you zoom in?
It's just,
I can't
It's a
tell what
wide
that line
side.
is right there, though. That looks like that's a band.
I'm pretty sure it
Right
stops at
there.
the porch, but if it is there, yes.
Yeah, maybe it's not shown there. Yeah, I see. Yeah, when you look at,
Right there.
looks
you
like
can
it
see pretty
exists
good.
some places, but not everywhere, like right there. I can't tell. It looks like it doesn't exist. Okay. Okay,
Right there,
thanks.
that-
Yeah,
right there.
there you go. So it's on the porches, but not otherwise. Okay.
Did you decide to keep the brick all the way around bottom? Or what we're gonna do to tabby? I can't remember what was
What would you prefer?
decided.
Thought what we had talked about was one time taking the existing brick that was there and putting the tabby stucco on top of it.
I remember that coming up.
I think it did because the brick this year is all mismatched.
Yeah, yeah.
And so,
I think the last comment was give us the recessed panels in between the piers.
yeah,
And
To-
that's what came from, that's
that's what we did with that foundation. When you look at it, you know, they're showing a recessed panel in that, but I mean, I would prefer to do it in tab.
Personally, I'm okay with tabby or just traditional stucco, either one.
Yeah, I am.
Just
I
have
would prefer the tab.
with or without the recessed.
Right, keep the recessed panel, but
Yes, sir.
all of the veneer would be a tabby, you know, large shell stucco,
Yeah.
big shells on it.
Yeah,
Tank
I'm
shells.
fine with the changes, and I think the recommendation for the roof line would be a major change. Back to the original cottage.
Similar.
Similar.
You know, it's, you know, the house, when we bought the house, is 2,600 square feet. And it doesn't look like it, you know, when you look at it, but I mean, it was right at 2567, something like that. So it had a fairly large amount of square footage to it. You know, and really we really didn't add that much more square footage to the house. But the changes that we did make, you know, from the road, that ridge, if we drop that ridge down to a 7 or an 8, I think it'll get closer to aesthetically pleasing and balanced also the left and the right side.
So any comments? Do you have anything? All right, well then I'll make a motion that we approve the drawings as submitted with the one exception of changing the ridge line on the, I guess it's the right
Left
side,
side.
left side. We'll call it the left side.
Basically, from the road, yeah, it'd be the left.
Okay, left facing the road to a 7 or 8 for you guys to work out the details on that to closer match the ridge on the other side.
I'll second.
All right, please respond yes or no. David,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
and I'll go along with it.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Good luck.
The next one is 28 Sumter Avenue.
So this one is only coming before y'all because the UDO only allows one monument sign per parcel typically. But the BAR has the ability to give a variance, so to speak, to that. And in addition to that, they are requesting for the sign to be internally lit. So I could not approve it at a staff level as our guidelines externally is preferred.
Good evening, I'm Wayne, Mr. Summit. St. John's Church is wanting to replace the old San Blas sign with a lighted sign in the front. Facing Sumter Street, over on Wall Street, they want to do a double-sided sign by the parking lot. And internally lit, gives it much better visibility than ground light. It's less maintenance for church and church staff to take care of that. The church across the street, First Baptist Church, I can show you all, they have a lighted sign that's here. That's facing the one on Sumter Street.
We approved that just a few months ago, it seems to me.
A few years ago.
Yeah.
And then we have
A few years, 4 hours.
church right here on South Main Street.
Mhm.
The AME church is also got a lighted sign, you know, right here in the historic district. Both of them have reports, the whole 9 yards. You know, the lights on the Laurel Street playground, or let me rephrase that, the lights on the tennis courts on Laurel Street side stay on to about 11 o'clock. You know, if we need to put a timer on it so we can shut down about 11 o'clock, we can do that as well. And then come back on, you know, early in the morning for traffic going back and forth.
Any question?
I certainly have no problem with there being a sign on both Sumter and Laurel. I think, yeah, with other exceptions that we've made, even though I'm not a big fan of internally lighted signs, it would be appropriate to let this be internally lighted.
Yeah, I do like the idea of putting a timer on it.
Yes.
Having that. And they're both the same size? The one on Sumter?
Laurel Street's a little smaller
Okay,
than the one that's on Sumter side.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And the signs meet all other requirements of our sign ordinance otherwise.
I don't think that timers is as a function of our, that can be more of a town regulation for,
You had to make a concession on the Summerall Catholic School sign. Because they were having issues with the light shining into the bedrooms at night.
yeah.
So we had to put a timer on that as well,
Yeah.
to bring it down. You know, those houses facing that sign directly. These aren't facing really residential right where they're at.
Right. And the letters will be removable, they
Yes.
won't be running or anything.
It's not a digital board.
Okay.
Even though the town allows digital boards on churches and schools, we just didn't think it was appropriate in the historic district.
Yeah. I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would actually love to abstain on this one, but I can't. And because I'm very much opposed to it. And I don't think internally lit in the middle of the historic district in a residential neighborhood is appropriate. And even though we have approved them evidently in the past, it was before I was on here. And so I don't know what we've done in the past, and so I can't speak to it, but I'm personally very opposed to it. But if the rest of my board members are in favor of it, then I will not hold it up, and I'll go ahead and vote with you guys.
I would prefer it not to be internally lighted.
You know, within the Bible, it says you don't want believers to stand behind, you know, the shadow of the light. They won't be able to see. And this is gonna help the church, you know, with their messages and everything else. Maintenance from lawnmowers, weed eaters, things of this nature is gonna damage these things, and it causes the church a lot more money in the end, in the long run.
To have it
Yeah.
internally lit.
No,
sign?
To have it
ground
surface ground lit.
shining upon it. Because most landscapers don't care. They run over signs and lights all the time. We're going out repairing it for other places. Which costs the church more money. Although internally lighting will be done in LEDs, so the cost of that comes down for them greatly versus the regular fluorescent tubes.
Is there a way to limit the amount of light from the LEDs so it's not
We
real
can try
bright?
to keep it softer with a softer white light, but you know, in certain areas, it's still gonna be a little bright, but it's not gonna be out front in your face like it is commercial.
Yeah, do you know the lumen count on the LEDs?
No, ma'am, I don't off the top of my head. If I had to guess, I would probably say somewhere in the 100.
You just don't want that bright pink
Right.
light.
Yeah, that's what I can see this thing being super bright.
You know, they do make the
LEDs.
soft white, but I can, you know, control it.
I have a motion.
Beth, what are your feelings?
Control the amount of pods, the LED pods we put in there. You know,
Big pardon?
as if we can control the amount of LED pods
biggest thing you don't want is to have shadows in it. Where it looks bad, but I can control the amount of pots. I put in it.
Here we go.
David, the only thing that I have an issue with is that, you know, for it to look like a parking lot.
Yep.
A commercial parking lot. And
It's not, the brickwork will be able to, church has brick, we know the color of the brick. So bricks that's left from where they built the building will match. It's not gonna be. what
I really
see
don't
here.
have a problem with the type of sign. I mean, I would love it to look like the Presbyterian church with the little, you know, historic looking. But it's the lighting in it. I just want to make sure that it's a soft light and not a harsh. Will they keep the same sign that's down
No, ma'am. That will go
below
away.
the St. John's?
That will go away. They pretty much changed their logo. A lot of churches are, you know,
Mhm.
changing a lot of things, to try to keep people in the doors.
All this will be subject to final staff inspection, as all major BAR items are. So if it's found that it's too bright, it could be adjusted.
You say that again?
All projects that go before the board are subject to a final inspection by me. So if it is found that it's too bright, I don't typically do inspections at night. But it could be adjusted.
And I have brick from the church.
Sure.
Can you come up and-
Mhm.
Or let me say something. My name is Rick Brisson. I'm the facility director at St. John the Beloved. I just want to stress the importance of the lit sign. I know that's an issue with y'all, but we have many functions that are at night. And right now, we have no signage on Laurel Street at all. Nobody even knows our church is there unless they know it's the Catholic Church. But we have people with kids, we have retreats, we have faith formation coming in at night, and people are getting lost because they can't see which churches are. There's 5 churches right there in our area. And so I just wanted to stress the importance. I understand if Wayne can make it low-level lighting, that's fine, but he was right in what he said about lawnmowers hitting the existing light that we have now on our wooden sign that's rotting. And, you know, it's $300-400 every time that happens. You know, when you try and go to a landscape and get it, you know, reimbursed, that is always a fight. So I just wanted to make that comment that people need to find our church. And the tennis court lights are on at night. Our parking lot is lit up all night long with LED lighting. So it doesn't face any houses, the signage. So thank you.
Tim, would it be more appealing to you if it had, the brickwork had more detail in it? Maybe a detail that was carried over from the church? I know it's the
Well,
lit sign that.
It is. I mean, I think the brick detailing would help. You know, I often look at the sign that we approved on the corner where the SO or X sign is, and the detailing was terrible. And so it didn't come across very well because it was done so poorly.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they put concrete on the top of it, and, you know, just is terrible detailing.
Just will have a little lock on. The columns will be inset a little bit, the brick will come out with these on this one. So that's not a problem.
What's the cap on the top of the 2 piers?
Straight with the brick, it's easier for service because that face is gonna come straight up. You know, I've got to bring the face in front of the brickwork. If this is brick, I've got to bring the face out.
Mhm.
So if I put too much detail up here, you can't get the faces out to doing service.
Yeah. And I think what always bothers me about these things is even like the way he shows his detail there, there's a post, and basically they put the sign up and then they come back and put brick around it. versus building the brick monument and then putting the sign on it. Okay.
I don't like build it around.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, how bad that looks a lot of times. We were the contractor for the church, and it's a beautiful church, and you know.
My brick mason is one of the little summer road guy. It's on every one of my sides.
Becca, do you have any pictures of the church, any detailing on the church?
I can pull up Google Street View.
Is pretty modern.
Yeah, there was some on those columns you can see there. There was kind of a cap detail that was a cast stone cap.
Put some type of
Maybe
little roof that would kind of mimic, is that standing seam on there?
Yeah.
Some type of little,
I've actually got a copper roof on that.
okay.
Yeah, there's caps on. Okay, we made that change.
Okay. And I have no drawing. There's supposed to be a cap on top.
There are concrete caps on both of those columns.
So there's a precast cap on that brick.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that detail matches from the church, that precast cap or the,
It's not gonna be metal like that. It'd be concrete.
no, sir, that's not where I'm referring to. Becca, can you go to this picture of the sign, I guess? Go up a little, yeah, no, and then zoom in over there to the church, the existing church. As best you can, and see at the bottom of those columns is right there. See that precast detail going around the bottom of that right there?
Yes.
So I'm wondering if we did that and then your sign sat on top of that. And so there was a precast detail on top and then your sign sat on top of that.
You're talking.
Yes, sir. So if it went across this whole base here
Right.
and sat on top of that, and then you had your two caps on top of that, and those matched.
Sure, that could be done. You know, adjust the price up for the church.
Sure. But that would kind of tie it into the detailing from the church that you're referring to.
And it would be much more noticeable than
The brick kind of
Yeah.
become kind of flat looking.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
And that's-
yeah.
You know, I certainly think if they're agreeable to that, that would be helpful.
Rick, do you see what they're saying?
Sir?
Do you see what they're
Yes, sir.
saying?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I think we would be fine with that.
So we would do that on both sides. Make-
Right. Well, the smaller sign doesn't have the piers because it's a smaller sign, but you could still have the same detail at the top of the brick, the
Yeah, I
same
would think it would
precast
need to be
detail.
consistent.
I would agree.
Right, on Laurel Street, I'll have that detail at the bottom. where the sign's at the top.
All right.
I need a motion.
I would move to approve with the changes that we've made and hopefully the lumens or the brightness of the sign will end up being able to be adjusted to something that is compatible with the district.
I'll second.
All right, please answer yes or no. David,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
I say yes.
In fact, if you need some help with describing that precast detail for your
No,
meeting minutes.
I
let
got
me
it.
know. Okay. All right. Thanks.
you.
All right. Thanks for being flexible. We appreciate it. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you, Ray. Thank you.
Our next one is 520 West Second South Street.
Good evening. My name is Debbie Lindsay, and this is my husband, Colin Martin, and our architect, John DeMai. Our application is for a new home to be located at the corner of West Second South Street and West Carolina. As you've been provided all the plans and the information on the home, and in the interest of time, I will not recite all the details, but we'll give a brief overview and answer any questions that you may have. We're seeking final approval for this project. I'd like to start with the photographs, Becca.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Sure.
Looking at the houses on the street, there are many different styles ranging from a 1950s ranch style brick house. That's number 3. All the way to a large 2-story mansion style, and that's number 8.
It's number 8 within the
That was the first
presentation
one.
or?
Actually, number
first
one.
one?
Yeah, it's, keep going, you're almost there, right there. Okay. But the predominant style on the street is a 1-story design with horizontal siding, brick base, and either a shingle or metal roof. 2 of the houses in the close proximity have metal roofs that are silver in color. In designing our home, we've strived to incorporate these features. Okay, the survey, Becca, please.
Whoa, sorry. My mouse went crazy.
Okay, that's the site plan. Do you have the
You want the survey not showing?
survey? Yes, thank you. The survey was prepared by David Bass. You can see that the location is the southeast corner of West 2nd South Street in West Carolina. It's a 0.48 acre lot. The trees are located and the size of the trees is recorded. It's zoned to GR2 and it's in flood zone X. All right, now the site plan, please. The site plan shows the building front, side, and rear setbacks, the location for the proposed new home, the driveway, and we have attempted to position the house to remove minimal trees. We were attracted to this lot because of the lovely camellias and azaleas and magnolia trees, and we want to keep it as wooded as possible. We don't want to change anything other than what's absolutely necessary. All right, the floor plans, please, Becca. The floor plans are submitted as drawn. As you can see, it's a 1-story with front porch, 3 bedrooms, great room, sunroom, porch on the back. All right, and then the floor plan for the room over the garage. And then the roof plan. Okay, now moving on to the exterior elevations. These are submitted as drawn also. The house faces West 2nd South Street. As you can see, we've used design elements from other houses on the street so that our house will blend in nicely with those. You are looking at the front and the side of the house. Back up the next elevation, please.
Can you blow up this elevation a little bit?
Yes, sir.
And this shows the back and the side of the house that will face West Carolina.
Those are square chamfered posts.
Yes, yes, sir. When y'all are ready, we can move on to the materials.
Need to do.
Mhm.
Ready to move on?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I know you were waiting on me. I've got my own screen that I'm following along on. Sorry.
Becca, would you show the materials? You can just zoom through them if you want to. You have those photographs there, but to recap, we're looking at a red brick base, horizontal and shingle hardy plank. The color is frost work by Sherwin-Williams.
So roll back real quick.
Mhm.
What was the Trex? What's that showing for?
The Trex is for the open porch on the back and also the steps going down.
Okay, so that's your decking material. Okay.
The color is probably easier seen here. It's frost work by Sherwin-Williams. It shows up pretty well there. And then the trim would be extra white, also by Sherwin-Williams. The roof would be a standing seam metal roof unless it proves to be cost prohibitive, in which case we would use black shingles.
And what profile standing seam are you using?
Excuse me?
What profile standing seam are you using? In terms of the height of the seams and
I don't know the
profile.
answer to that question.
She says she's not using,
What height
Not
of
using it.
seam on the
She said
standing
she
seam roof?
plans to unless the cost is too much.
Inch and a half seams with the intermediate, two intermediate. About 1/8 inch high seams.
Yeah.
We have been working hard on not approving that.
Yeah.
Seams are 1.5 inches high, 16 inches on center.
But the
Yeah, typically,
intermediate ridges,
typically, John, what we approve by our guidelines is a flat panel. So we do not want the striations in there. We want the flat panel. Oil canning's okay because it's more of a historical detail.
We don't
and-
have striated.
And, well, John just said you did. So at least maybe I misunderstood him, but
No, we looked at two samples. One was striated and then one was just a flat. And I've got a piece of it.
that'd be great. Oh, yes, ma'am. That'd be great. Or a cut sheet on it would be great.
I may have not heard your question.
Sure. So what we don't like are the two little pencil ribs, you know, how you have the 16-inch flat panel. And so we're going to want a completely flat panel and a 1-inch seam, not 1.5 inches. Yes, ma'am. That just won't tell us the profile of the panel, unfortunately.
I think we could get 1-inch high seam instead of 1.5 inches.
Yes, sir.
I've just had really good success with the 1.5 inches.
Right. We
We
just,
find it.
the 1 inch is available. You can certainly find it. It just mimics the historical roofs a little more accurately. So that's why we like to request that.
With the historic metal roofs, they were typically only 1 inch high.
Right,
New manufactured panels with standard is 1.5 inches.
right.
Plant sold.
Sure. Yes, sir.
It has, what we want is a hidden.
Yes, sir.
Concealment.
Right. And you can get that with the 1 inch as well.
We don't want to have exposed fasteners.
Right, correct.
Between the two
Agreed.
seams, there will be two ridges.
Right. And we don't want that either. We do not want, we will not approve the 2 ridges. It's a flat panel. Right.
I spoke with the man at MR. Metal roofs on, 7K,
Yes, ma'am. He does a lot of them. He's got a 1 inch.
and I could tell him what to ask him for.
Yeah, I got my roof from him. So I got the roof on my house is from CMR. And it's,
It's in our
it'll be in the-
guideline,
it's
it's in
in
our
the
guidelines. I'll
guidelines.
send it to you.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
We'll just have to do some research on that. I think we can find that.
Sure. Okay, thanks.
yeah, every other recent metal roof that we've approved has met that standard, so.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty,
This is the roof I used on the EMS headquarters building on Route 78. And it's
right.
just very, very well.
Yes, sir. We're trying to keep away from that commercial look and those higher profiles, give it kind of that commercial look. And so that's why we want that more residential look. So we're intentionally doing that.
These installers,
1 inch.
one,
1 inch
okay,
without entering.
Correct. Yes, sir.
these installers, created on site. They are not prefabricated pieces. Does that kind of answer your question?
Right. You can do it both ways. Some people have a rolling machine and they put coils in and it comes out instead of buying panels that are pre-made. So all depends on his roller. But you can buy the panels. Okay. Thanks, John.
Which guidelines?
It's on page 82, guideline 53 for roofing material.
Okay, that completes my part.
All right.
We
Thank
welcome
you.
any questions that you have. Any other questions?
Becca, did you have any comments or letters to read?
No, I've spoken with them at length about the possibility of having to go to the tree protection board,
Okay.
and mitigation will be assessed based off of the tree protection board's decision for
Right.
that pine, I think it is.
And we've already put in our tree permit application.
Sure. Okay. David, do you want to go first?
I showed it to him.
Yeah.
I didn't, was not aware of that, so we can
Okay.
do that.
So John, there'd be a couple more things that were in the guidelines that I noticed. One is your picture framing the windows, and we're going to want to see a windowsill across the bottom of that windowsill. Well, there's not a detail, so we can't really see what it looks like, but it can't be picture framed. It has to have that thicker nosing. That was the first applicant came back because of that.
So you want sill
A
piece
true
in there?
sill piece put in there. Yes, sir. So just think of it like this. You're mimicking all the historical details. And
That's not a problem.
then the same thing on your headboards above the window.
Header is,
Yeah.
you see is higher
Yes, sir.
and has a two-piece header.
Did,
It's got a.
did you give us a wall section by any chance? Because I couldn't find a detail or any wall sections in here.
I didn't know that. I've never had to submit wall sections.
Okay. We asked for the details so that we can really tell. So, so we would like to see a drip cap on that header.
Yeah, the header is a 1x6 with a 1x2
Yes, sir.
flashing piece over the top of it.
Okay.
Yeah. that's
Perfect.
standard.
That's good. And then the other biggest thing that I see on here is, I'm assuming this is a crawl space.
Yeah, it's a conditioned crawl space
Conditioned crawl space.
and a conditioned attic. That's why we don't have any vents.
Perfect. Okay, so you are not, it's not slab on grade, it's a crawl space.
Pardon me?
This is not going to be a slab on grade. This is going to be a
No,
crawl
it is
space.
Because of the slope, there's about 6 feet of slope across
Okay.
the site. So
Perfect.
getting underneath there, it is a fully insulated, conditioned crawl space, fully conditioned attic space.
Perfect. Thank you.
And that's why we have the galvanized metal roof.
So again, Becca, if you could zoom in on the corner detail of the house. And so one of the things we try to avoid is see how the brick is sitting proud of the house. We want that brick to be recessed under the house, like a traditional detail. So you see how that steps out. And that's one of those details we're fighting with or trying to keep from happening on new construction in the historic district. And so that would be another detail we'd like to see you modify. Oh, sorry, maybe it's better if I don't use this. So the brick with a crawl space, you can actually, we want the house to come down, have your band board, and then the brick set inside, not proud of the house. And your details show it setting proud of the house.
Yes.
And we want to see it inset.
Okay.
With a crawl space, it's easy to inset that.
Well, that's quite a bit more expensive. Yes, significantly more expensive.
It shouldn't make any difference because you're just, instead of a roll-out cap on there, you can eliminate the roll-out cap and you can come back and go up.
I know,
underneath
but the
walls.
structure has to be, of the floor has to be, have extenders on it in order to do that. which-
Y'all, I'm so sorry. Could you speak into the mics? Because this is live streamed and recorded. Yeah. Mr. Dumas, if you don't mind speaking into that mic.
Do you agree with that, David? 'Cause you're usually the one who talks about that.
The foundation wall is an 8-inch concrete block wall with 4 inches of rigid polyisoner insulation behind it as a conditioned airspace. And the floor structure bears on the 8-inch concrete block. If we move the brick back, which is non-bearing, it means the floor structure has to be cantilevered over that on the front and back. And on the sides, you have to put supplemental headers that also cantilever out in order to accomplish that.
Right.
You know, several of the homes in the surrounding neighborhood have this same detail on, but you know, we can accomplish it. It's just a very expensive detail to get done.
I'll let my other board members speak. I've said enough.
I know you don't.
I don't want to be the only one talking, so I'll pass to some other folks. Those are just standard details that we kind of request on houses.
Becca, take it down to number 70, the next one.
Yeah, hear you.
Move it down one. To the next page.
Okay. Gotta be
So
more
you're saying,
specific.
rather than having the roll-lock sill, bring the brick back in flush and
Yes, sir.
behind in plane with the horizontal siding.
Yes, sir. And what some people have done instead of that is actually do the stucco on the block because they didn't want to have to, because of those things you're referring to. And so they put stucco on the block to eliminate the need to recess that.
A lot more expensive detail, so I know you don't care.
Well, we do care,
Well,
but we're trying to keep the
be glad to do
the
it.
essential things of the historic district intact. And this has been one of the ones that has come up in here repeatedly.
And I wanted to comment on the windows, the light above the windows. Is there a guideline on that, Becca?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
The light, the top light on the window?
The transom.
Transom.
Yes, yes, yes.
I don't believe so. You mean saying that it's not appropriate or?
Well, you just don't see those in the historic here.
No, I don't believe we have anything.
I think one of the problems, is that they didn't match the grid patterns. And because it's a solid piece, it looks more odd. If we match the grid pattern, I think it would look better with the transoms, but I would also agree that if we could eliminate the transoms, probably would be an improvement and make the windows larger.
There are several homes in the historic district that have transoms. Yeah.
They do. I'm not opposed, but I do think the mullion should be there instead of a solid piece.
I think that would make it would, yeah, not break it up. Just looks kind of busy.
It does. It does.
I'm really not sure that adding a mullion to the transom would make it look better. Because by having a solid sheet of glass for the transom kind of defines it as a transom, even though it may not be a true transom. It's my feeling. I don't have a problem with those transom.
lights as submitted. I know there are a number of homes and around in the historic district that had long doors out onto their porches that had transoms over them. These windows almost extend down to the.
Right, like mine do, personally, but they have a divided light in there too. It would be very unusual from a historical detail for the transom not to have a divided light in the historical sense.
What if we put a mutton?
That's what we're referring to, a mutton.
Yeah.
That's all we're referring to, is just a mutton to match the mutton pattern below.
Fine.
Just one vertical.
Yes, ma'am. It'd just be one vertical.
That's a suggestion, or is that a ruling?
Everything's just a talk right now. So there's no motion yet. These are just opinions right now. So everybody's got to kind of agree on so we can give you some direction, some clear direction. So
Becca, can you keep going through the? Yes.
Is there anything specific you want to see?
I just want to see the other half of that.
Just go back to the front.
Okay.
I don't want to roll through them again.
Sure.
So the garage doors that are shown on the drawing are not the garage. Okay. All right.
Yes,
I like the
that's
choice
correct.
in the-
That's
yeah,
correct.
Those are nice. Those look great. So you won't be able to see the garage at all from.
No.
just Pull around.
No.
And we had very large azaleas that run across the front of the property, and we intend those to stay as tall as possible. So no, you won't be able to see down that way at all.
I didn't realize that lot had such a slope to it.
It does.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I guess I'm going to ask, where are my other fellow board members on the brick detail at the base? Because we need to give them clear direction on that.
My opinion is that we need to be consistent through the historic area. So if we've made that decision, and that's what we need to stick with.
David, okay. So then, any other comments by you guys? And I'll try to put together, I tried to write down a list of things that I had because it was a few. So Becca, let me try to read this list to you. So this would be a motion to approve with the following changes to the plans. So the standing seam roof, if you choose to go that way, would be a 1-inch seam with no ribs. The band board around the bottom, there's no dimension shown right now, but we'd want that to be 8 to 10 inches tall. I can't, right now, it almost looks like it's maybe 6 inches. I can't tell the detailing, but we'd want it to be 8 to 10 to give it a little more beefiness to it. Put a mutton in the window transoms to match the muttons below, or to match the vertical mutton below. Put a windowsill on all windows, a traditional windowsill on all windows, and change the brick detail so that the brick detail at the base is inset and or that it is stucco. So I think if the cost of the framing was too much and you wanted to do it in stucco, stucco is actually less expensive than brick from an initial construction cost. So, you know, you could kind of offset or save some money by doing it in stucco versus brick. So that would be my list. I don't know if anybody else has any other comments.
No, I love your choice of colors. The color's really nice and I think that they look, what's the front door color? Have you thought about that? Okay. Great. I think it will look nice on that lot. I agree with the changes that you've stated, Tim, and I believe that would be a nice addition.
Do you
All right,
want
so
these
I'll
re-
make that motion.
Do you want these reviewed at a staff level or do you want them to come back?
At staff level is fine.
Are y'all in agreement with
Could we get,
what he's proposing?
could we get approval and then make the changes and just submit to staff?
Yes, sir. That's what we just said. So approved with just Becca signing off on the final changes.
Just
We
submit
can
them with your permit package.
We can get that accomplished real quick.
Okay, sir. Okay. All right. I guess we need a second.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Please answer yea or nay. David?
Yay.
Beth?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
And I'll say yes.
Thank you, sir.
So
All
I
right.
wish you
Thanks,
hope-
John.
hope-
Thank y'all. Good luck.
Hope it'll work
I
fine.
look forward to seeing it. You did a great job presenting this well.
My next one is 112 West Second South Street.
What did I do with it?
I have those just submitted directly.
Oh, I lost it.
Yeah, so you can either send them to me to have me check them, or you can just send them in when you apply for your building permit.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I don't have any letters to read on this agenda item or additional comments from my staff report.
Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon. We have, we want to take our existing patio and add a 12 by 10 deck. And then on the 12 by 10 deck, put a golf cart storage unit on it. We're trying to get rid of a existing trailer that is storing goods outside now. We'll match the house with siding. We'll match the roofing to the roofing that was approved 2 years ago. Metal roof, standing seam. It's in the house right here at 112.
I could not tell from the elevations whether that was open storage or is that clabbered enclosed storage?
It's gonna be enclosed storage. We will close it and put the same siding that is on the house. Match the house completely with colors as well as siding.
And what kind of detail around the door and what kind of door?
We're thinking of putting a standard 3-foot door is all we put in there. It opens to
What a
the, I guess.
six
north side.
panel,
Pardon?
six panel
Six-panel standard door,
exterior door.
exterior door.
With trim that would be to match the house.
Match the house. Exactly.
Okay.
And the colors would
Yeah.
match.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Sherwin Williams Tank, his best friend was Sherwin Williams dealer, so we'll have to go with Sherwin.
Can you see the shed from the street?
Can you see it from the street?
Yes, sir.
You could see it from an angle, which
Right.
is about the angle from here.
Right there. So you would see a glimpse of it there. So
Pardon?
you would just see a glimpse of it right
Yes.
there. Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
would not be able to see the door from the street.
Right.
Trying to clean up the front and the side and move it into something a little more neat.
Any question? Dave?
No, I think as long as it's done with the detail of the house, I have no problem with it.
I don't either. So I guess I'll make a motion that we approve as long with the caveat that all the details of the siding and trim match the details of the existing house.
I'll second.
All right. Everybody, please answer yes or no. David,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
and I say yes. So we wish you well.
Good luck.
You're welcome.
The next one is 217 Marion Avenue.
The only comment I have is that our engineering department has said that they would not allow a gravel driveway for this property, which is shown in the proposed site plan, but does not affect the.
What do they
design.
want it to be?
They, didn't give a recommendation specifically to that at this point because it's not in permitting. But it was something that I brought to their attention because I wanted to.
The issue, pervious surface.
It's pervious surface because the structure would bring it right to the 30% and the grade of the lot, it would most likely wash out. You can go right ahead and tell me if you want me to jump to a page.
Sure.
Mhm.
Hi, my name is Yulia Apostolova. I'm the homeowner of property located at 217 Marion Avenue. Seeking pre-approval to build ADU. I'm working with Tidewater architects, and they designed a building that matches the existing house. I also met with your engineering department with Dale Robinson, and he suggested that instead of gravel, there will be pervious concrete or asphalt. There will be no trees cut. What else I can tell you?
Details are all similar to the main house. correct?
Yes, sir. It's going to be on stills though, because it's necessary. It's the property is sloping down and it's so low that it needs to be on stills, while the original house is on crawl space.
So you can see, you'll be looking into the garage. All right.
The front, Marion Avenue, yes, there
Okay.
will be a garage.
So let's see the elevation that faces Marion, please. So those are garage panels. What are we seeing there? Is that open? And we're
It's
seeing,
open. There's no, it's all open. Mhm.
Like a carport.
and so
Yes, sir.
from Marion, we're going to kind of have this elevation, this north elevation. Is that right?
Not sure. Well, the top picture is just the face. That will be facing Marion.
This is
Yeah,
the
this
front.
one right here.
Okay. Were there any comments, Becca, or letters or anything?
No.
I think this this is so different for historic.
Yeah.
True, very true.
I feel like I'm looking at a beach house and it's just not, and I hate to say this, you're not gonna like this, but it's just not particularly attractive. And
What exactly you don't like about it?
I don't want to offend you,
Nothing.
so I don't like anything about it. I hate to say it. I'm so sorry. I just don't like anything about it. And it's so judgmental for me to sit here and tell you that but I just don't think it is in keeping with downtown Somerville. And I don't know how exactly to ask you to change it, but I'll let my other board members speak.
I think the real problem is finding something that would fit with the house that's already there that would be different from what she has presented.
Rather in keeping with the existing house.
Right.
Do we have a front elevation of the existing house?
No, but I can pull it up on,
I think that house was approved because there was an existing house on the other side of Tupper
actually.
on the
maybe
corner.
not. It wasn't.
There.
built
Might
yet.
have a picture on my phone if you like.
What was that, Nikita's house?
Mhm.
And I think that it was approved because that house was already there, kind of preceded the BAR.
Hmm.
No picture. for
And
it.
Conway, you were going to speak.
I just want to comment when it's my turn.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
We'll
And
catch
there
you
will be
after
a
the
house.
board finishes.
There will be a house built right behind it. It's next on the agenda.
Yeah. Yeah, the next one down is a,
Much more traditional.
were you able to get a?
She's pulling up on her phone, I think. She's
What are you looking?
Yes, I'm trying to find.
front
a
elevation.
picture of house
What's the?
front of it.
Becca pulled it up on,
There's literally no picture. This house has been built for a while now too, I think.
Okay, maybe
What's
that
the
one.
number on Marion?
to, what's the street address?
217,
Thank you.
It's what?
217
Same as-
Marion.
Just everything we don't do. But it is existing, but thank you very much. I mean, I guess what I'd like to,
There's finding symmetry.
yeah, it kind of looks like,
You want to see the?
I walk by it every day.
it's not that I'm opposed to the detail. It's the fact that it kind of looks like a trailer sitting up there, or a pre-manufactured house, because there's no symmetry to the windows. It's just a rectangular box. It's just a little flat roof on it. There's no gables, there's no pitches, there's nothing of interest in it.
I mean, we can change everything because it's just a preliminary. I
Yeah,
kind of, I'm not 100% happy with that either, like you said. But also have in mind that you won't be able to see half of it from the street because it's so low. So if you have any suggestion how we can change it to make it more attractive, I'm open to suggestions.
So I think you'll be able to see the whole thing.
I do too, because you're going to see right down that driveway.
Yeah, there's not any shrubbery or,
No.
across the front.
Well, I would think if you're looking for suggestions, increasing the number of windows
Yes.
Okay.
uh,
And
play a
some,
major part.
and some kind of, on the elevation you see from Marion, some kind of breaking up of the facade. So it's not just one plane, there's a setback, an offset, a gable end.
Gotcha.
There's just no detail or interest in it.
Right, right.
And
Okay.
so if you're working with Tidewater, I'd just ask them to kind of go back to the drawing board a little more and give you a little more architectural to match the existing house a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
Because the existing house has some nice details, it's got a nice front on it. It's got a nice pitch to the roof and
Yeah.
just something to liven it, to give it some
It's
interest.
just, it's so limited to what I can do because it can't be higher than 20 feet. It can't be bigger than this. So
Right.
it's just like really, really,
Gotcha. Understand.
Does it need to be that large?
it's not large. It's only under 800 square feet, I think.
It can be taller than 20 feet.
It can be.
It just can't be any taller than the primary residence.
Oh, okay. Well,
Council changed that a little bit ago.
Okay, yeah, we definitely can work on that, like making a roof a little bit more attractive. Maybe add something, break it down a little bit so it doesn't look so square.
Yeah, just like a shoebox
Right,
now.
right.
So,
Yeah.
well, if you don't mind, I would ask that you resubmit it,
Okay.
that you go back and resubmit it.
No problem.
Add some visual interest
Yes.
to it.
Okay.
and Detail work and.
We had one person out there wanted to make a comment. Yes, come on. Yeah. Waiting on you.
Thank you. Yes. You have one public comment.
Thank you. I'm Con Chellis. I'm at 216 Marion Avenue across the street. So my concern with this is, and y'all expressed a lot of the same concerns, and you used the word harmony earlier. I think there's no harmony with what's been done across the street. And with not trying to be insulting, but to me, the house that's there now, I'm listening to the detail y'all went through on some of the crawl spaces and all earlier. I don't know how it got through. You got a concrete center block crawl space with no brick, no brick skirting, right across from Old Pine Forest End property where almost everything around there is built with Salisbury brick. So my effort here today, again, I don't want to be insulting. I know people want to be able to do things with their property. However, I do want to stop the bleeding of what's happened, over there. It looked like a beach house property. There's no consistency, no harmony. Trying to get it leveling, on that lot, you're going to see everything from the street. I can tell you that. What I would consider the underneath area, the crawl space and the carport area. I don't know what the answer is there because you'd be matching a concrete cinder block crawl space that's exposed right now, just raw exposed cinder block. Which I don't think that's aesthetically appealing either to match that. So I don't know how we get around all that and try to make this appealing, but it is a concern for, it just doesn't fit anything I've heard y'all talk about today. So I just wanted to make those comments, and I would hope and ask the board to be as particular and consistent with this property and the one that's coming up next as. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
Do I need to fill in the sinuses associated?
Yes, please.
Yeah, please.
Yes, it is. I've seen that. Yes. I think what happened was, just to kind of explain it, is it's a parged coat of stucco versus traditional 3-coat stucco. And that's why the block telegraphs through the stucco so badly. So if they had done a full 3-coat stucco, it would be 3/4 of an inch thick and you would not see all that block work. When you parge stucco, you put an 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch and it kind of telegraphs the substrate through it. So thanks for your help. Appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll hold that one for you.
So this applicant isn't here this evening. He had an injury and wasn't able to make it. So you can still review the project, but I do have to hand out just a survey to show basically there's a buffer here that can't be built within that I've been discussing with engineering, and if anyone else in the audience wants to see this document, it was given to me too late to include in the presentation, but I have hard copies here if anyone wants to look at it. I'm going to give it to the board members first so they can take a look at it. Essentially, it wouldn't allow the house to be built where they're wanting to build it. So it's a 50-foot buffer from the, I wouldn't call it from the creek, basically.
And it's kind of a different shaped lot. Is that correct?
It's a traditional.
But that would be something zoning and or engineering is looking at, right? That would-
How many do I get?
So the top one shows the buffer. This looks, that was to the homeowner. And then the second one is they submitted a revised site plan trying to move it out, but I believe they didn't understand that it couldn't be in, there's two zones. So there's zone 1 and zone 2. They're both 25 feet. Zone 1, you can't disturb anything, so you can't even put any vegetation or grade at all. Zone 2, you can put vegetation, but you can't put a structure other than a dock. To give you an idea of how sloped that is.
So this is going to become an unbuildable lot, basically.
I wouldn't say that. They would probably have to pick a different house.
Right, gotcha. Can they get a driveway through zone 2?
I have asked that, and I have not gotten a response, but we wouldn't let them do gravel for sure.
Right.
Which again, may be an issue for that lot because of the length of the driveway is going to have to be,
Okay.
impervious.
Well, I would say since they have these issues and they're not here, that we just skip this and move on.
I think we
Everybody
just
agree with that?
I agree.
we'll put that one off.
All right, thanks.
I just wanted a good visual, so I didn't have to try and explain it.
No, I don't think we could have, yeah, that'd been tough.
Save them for next time.
Trying to read the stormwater manual too many times kind of scrambles your brain.
Mhm.
All right, the next one is 302 Rutherford.
So
Thanks, Al.
these lovely folks just went before the Board of Zoning Appeals for a variance on the height restriction because the proposed garage would be taller than the primary residence. So they received that variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals. I do have some letters to read really quick. These are both from Mr. Budden. I always say it wrong. He's gonna kill me. They didn't write their names on, they hand delivered these and they didn't write their, so they're both from two different Mr. Buddens. 302 Rutherford Street, proposed garage concerns. Size overpowers the main structure on the property. The proposed garage should not be taller or wider than the existing primary structure. Design, the garage design does not enhance the present main structure. The proposed addition of dormers to the existing building will detract, from the appearance of the existing residence and will not make the garage blend with the main structure. The building of the new additional structures on properties within the historic district need to be evaluated on a case basis. The total appearance needs to be considered to ensure it will not detract from the existing buildings and surrounding properties. My parents' properties on Rutherford Street and Southampton Street received recognition from the Preservation Society for maintaining the appearance of the neighborhood. It would be sad to see such a dramatic change that would take away from the existing cohesive appearance and structure of each property. 302 Rutherford Street, proposed garage concerns. Size dominates the main structure on the property. The owner had to know what they were buying. Now they want more space and are willing to sacrifice the appearance of the property and neighborhood with the size and height of this garage building. Design, the garage does not blend with the present main structure. The proposed addition of dormers to the existing building will detract from the historic appearance of the existing residence. The building of new additional structures on the properties within the historic district need to be evaluated on a case basis. Total appearance needs to be considered to ensure it will not detract from the existing buildings and surrounding properties. And the same, this property and other properties on Southampton Street receive recognition from the Preservation Society for maintaining the appearance of the neighborhood. It would be sad to see such a dramatic change that would detract from the existing buildings. And I have two from Miss Sandy Mallard. Good morning. I have several concerns about both a shed and a detached garage in such a small space. A one-car garage might work, but I think it would be very tight, especially if it was positioned to the left side of the home. Also, will this garage be for a car or will it entail living space? If living space is to be part of the detached structure, the impact would be very negative for the neighbors in the neighborhood. The size and position of the garage and what effect they may have on the neighbors' quality of life and their properties. Sandy Mallard, 305 Southampton. Good morning. I would like to again voice my concern about the garage. This is a cottage, and a garage higher than the house will be completely out of proportion on the property. An architect or planner could certainly help these folks attain their needs in a suitable manner. Proportional, practical changes are absolutely acceptable. Covering the majority of the lot with random structures does not enhance the property or the neighborhood. We long-term, lifelong residents are vested in the neighborhood.
Hi. So I have stuff written out. My name is Andriana. You can call me Annie. This is my husband, Brian. Brian is born and raised in North Charleston and Somerville. I'm going completely off of what I planned for. I moved here when I was 3, so I've been here well over 30 years and love it. This is our home. We moved from Kings Grant, where we lived for 8 years in a home that was built in 1975 and was never fixed. So we built and reframed that back to its original improved condition, and we were able to sell and move into the beautiful neighborhood we live in now. We love it there, and the last thing we want to do is become public enemy number 1. So please know that anything that we are trying to do is to help enhance the entire neighborhood, not just our little one at Southampton and Rutherford down into Charleston Street, but also the entire historic district. We love it. While our typical style is mid-century modern and industrial, this suits our desire to downsize and find a better in-town quality of life. So, thanks. To say this has been stressful is an understatement. We want to have a good neighborhood, and we want it to suit not only ours, but our neighbors. We know that it overpowers the house. That 2 feet looks very large. I think that the addition of the dormers makes it look even bigger. The purpose of those dormers on the garage was to allow us to have an additional space for either his home office or a space for us to put workout equipment as we're active people, and storage. We have a very small opening in our 892 square foot cottage that he barely fits into and is not adequate attic storage. So all of like baby pictures and that stuff that you can't get rid of, I don't know where to put it. So with that all being said, we're on this site plan there. That would be awesome. Our home faces Rutherford, and we wanted to locate the house behind, or the garage behind the home, for 2 reasons. First, our neighbor facing the house to the left, Pernitha, has a gorgeous oak tree that comes over our backyard. So if we were to put the garage on the left-hand side of the house, it would really affect the root system of that tree. And the last thing we're trying to do is affect more trees than we have to. Living in Kings Grant, we had to do a lot of tree removal, which we hated. So we are trying to eliminate as much as possible there. On the topic of trees, we do have a magnolia that would have to be removed for the garage to go in this location. And that would be for any garage that would be put here. It just wouldn't fit with the setbacks. Because I've mentioned the attic space above the garage, it wouldn't be livable space per se, in that it wouldn't have I wouldn't want a kitchen. I wouldn't want anyone living in that area. I've been in property management. That is not an area that I want to go back to be frank. And that left side of the home we feel would be excellent for outdoor space and allow us to have some private area. It's set far back off of Rutherford and would be completely eliminated off of Southampton. You wouldn't see any living space there. As far as zoning, we believe we've complied with the zoning in regards to the driveway access, as well as preserving a view for our neighbor's drive, as well as complying with setbacks. Obviously, we knew we didn't comply with the height limit. The Board of Zoning gave us that 2 foot. If y'all agree with that, we would love that. The functional use is one set, but to make sure we have adequate structure depth for floor system and roof framing was a primary focus there. Again, mentioning the dormers, I feel like those dormers are set so far back off the front of the garage addition that's where a lot of that mass feels like from the plan. Where am I? So if you would go to the existing house picture, please. So as I mentioned, coming from Kings Grant, that was a very different style home. It was a 1975 tri-level brick, and this is clearly a very small, classic, historic cottage. So with that being said, with it having that gabled roof and the huge porch across the front, and then that shed roof at the extension on the back, that's why we chose to add the dormers, so that we could mimic what it was going to look like on the garage. We wanted to have that continuity. And then we kept the ridge of the new roof parallel to the existing one, again, to reinforce the shape and the structure of the garage. Everything for roofing, siding, window grid patterning, shutter design, all of that would be identical to what is on the house. I didn't have a photo uploaded here, but I took one and can show it to you for details on the windows and the shutters, as well as the trim around those. But all of that would match, as well as roof slopes and eave details. Any questions you'll have, any suggestions, we are definitely open to them.
I think we've been so careful with past projects, with past houses, to be very sensitive to the height of the roof line, and being able to see the dormers over the original house takes away from the original house, I believe.
How many square feet do you have in the frog area? Do you know about how many that is? Oh, it says right there, 400.
443, is that what that says?
Yep.
443, and the width of the garage is 24 feet. It's a lot of garage.
It is.
And I completely understand why you want a garage. All I have is a carport and I hate it. So I appreciate the fact that you want a garage. It's just a lot of garage. And it does feel like it's too much for the house. I'm trying to figure out if there was a way to kind of blend the happy median with, you guys get a garage, but it doesn't overpower the house kind of thing. I guess first, I'm kind of thinking, and these are just my thoughts for my other board members to contemplate on. So I appreciate the effort on the dormers on the existing house, but I'm thinking it may be best just leaving the existing house simple the way it is. It is what it is, and maybe trying to put too much on it might be actually taken away from it. So that would be my first thought. I don't know if others agree with that or not. And then my second thought would be, is there a way for you guys to still get what you want, but maybe the size of that garage is tweaked and dialed in. And one thought that I was just having here while I was sitting here listening to you guys is if the frog went away but you made the garage a little longer, you could actually build that space on the ground floor versus upstairs, so you could still have a workout room and facility and stuff. And that way that mass of that roof wouldn't be so big. Well, I mean, it's kind of all together, right? You kind of got to take it all together. So if the mass wasn't so large and height was more in keeping with the house, you could actually make the garage a little bit deeper, not wider, of course, because it can't be any wider, but maybe a little bit deeper. And like your patio that you have there, which I'm sure would be super nice, is maybe that becomes the workout room and the patio goes in front of that, or kind of rotate it 90 degree, or it kind of goes 90 degrees or something. I don't know. That's just simply some thoughts here. I'll let my other board members speak. So
Well, you said what I was getting ready to say.
I'll say it.
No, I mean, Tim said I was getting ready to suggest getting rid of the frog and having just a deep garage and make room for what you were going to put in the frog on the first level.
How does that go?
So that hasn't even gone before planning commission yet, and it would have to go for 2 readings after that with council. And we don't even have the verbiage. Yes. And then as far as lot coverage, you guys have, what is it here? It looks like Rachel did a impervious calculation for you. And it looks like you guys have about 1,000. You've got room. The other thing you could do to alleviate some of that square footage is change the drive to a pervious drive, and you can work with engineering to do that. They would want you to definitely have, no gravel at the right of way, because it can spill out into the street and cause accidents. But you have the ability to expand the footprint somewhat, with that square footage. But yes, keep in mind that if the ordinance does change, the size may be limited based on your lot size. But tomorrow I can calculate what that would be and then send that to you, just in case, it may not even come to fruition before you get approval, but if it does, that way you'll know.
I think one of the benefits you have is, one, you're working with an architect who will understand what we're talking about and what our concerns are, as opposed to bringing us a picture drawn on the back of a napkin.
we greatly
See y'all
appreciate
too
that.
often.
Yeah.
She was the only one that would call us back. to be
Uh.
honest.
But from the first time I looked at this project through the many times I went back and looked at it again, I was just struck at how out of proportion size-wise that addition was, scale-wise. And that there ought to be another way to accomplish it, particularly if you weren't trying to make that frog area into an apartment. Yeah, and which really gives you a lot more flexibility as to how you can rearrange that space and reduce the mass.
And if you,
All the little cottages in that area are kind of long and narrow. And so to do some an addition that's long and narrow would in some ways fit right in with the character of the neighborhood.
Yeah, you have a great lot to work with. So being right on that corner.
Yeah. It is, sure. And it is a beautiful oak tree that you've got to deal with right there. And I appreciate you not trying to get too close to that. So, but you know, if you end up with that room downstairs, you could do something really nice with some nice doors and windows out into the yard that could become really nice versus just the two doors on the end, you know,
What-
so.
Was that third garage, single garage door to drive a car through, or was that just an opening?
They're talking about
But that could, the whole thing on that side could look a lot different if that were changed from a garage door to another type of glass opening or
Yeah.
large
Yeah,
frame.
and you could certainly come up with some doors that could still open big enough to drive through, but not look maybe like a garage door from that side. So, but anyway.
What is the stipulations on a garage door? Inside with the seat on the street? Still actual, like, some nice glass doors that
You mean
will look-
inside the actual garages?
Not inside the garage, but this back door.
Oh,
So I would think
Yeah.
that we could do glass doors.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think-
glass doors would be great.
I
Yeah.
think we'd much rather see doors than another
Open
garage.
up onto a patio, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was.
Amazing.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Because from the floor plan, you couldn't drive through it anyhow. I mean, you couldn't get anything out there because you got the shop. in
Well,
that.
there's a door from the shop to the.
Yeah.
That was gonna be open.
Right.
How does that sound? to y'all?
Y'all?
Yeah, I mean, we'll work with it. See what we can come up with.
And so the other option, I guess, if we didn't extend back, could we lower the surface and have an upstairs attic? As long as we were under that
Yeah.
height of the original house.
I think even dropping it 2 feet would still be kind of overwhelming.
Okay.
But you could have Rachel explore it, you know, and look at if you got rid of the dormers and, you know, what does that leave you and how much attic space does that leave you up there? And, you know, because it might could still be some usable storage up there, you know, might not be able
It's
to.
a give and take of what, what is the most important need, want.
Right. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
And
All
y'all,
right. Thank y'all. Good luck.
this meeting will be posted on our YouTube page. And so you can go to the town website and go to live meeting and it'll take you to the YouTube page if you want to watch again and go over their comments.
Thank you. all.
All right. Thank you all. Bye. Good luck.
Thank you. The next one we have is 516 Central.
I do have one letter for this one. Dear Becca, I am in support of the proposed addition of dormers at 516 Central Avenue by the new property owner, Mr. Partridge. If not mistaken, he is planning on putting dormers on the utility multipurpose building with the metal roof in the back of the property. This would only enhance the visual curb appeal of the building and make the building look more in sync with the historic homes that are on that street. By the way, I believe that was the long-range plan of the previous owner, Mr. Thomas Tony Esquire. Kindest regards, Dickie Myler, and he said put property owner because I guess he doesn't want me to know where he lives. All right, y'all are.
My name's Brooks Vaughn with Pear Tree Homes. I'm here to represent the owners of 516 Central. Seeking approval for the addition of 3 dormers on the accessory dwelling unit in the rear of the structure that is not in view from the street. We will be matching roof and siding and existing windows.
And only thing you're doing is adding 3 dormers.
That's it.
Correct. And the inside of this building, this is truly a metal building?
It is.
Metal building. So you
Is
got,
it finished on the inside?
It's
now?
in the process of being finished. We have a first part of the permit to finish the inside. We had to have approval for the dormers.
so right now you have purlins and girts going in there.
Mhm.
Purlins, well, girts are in the walls, but purlins in the roof. And so you've got so I guess, oh, never mind. That's not my department. Yours, y'all, I'm not a structure. We aren't worried about the structure. You guys will figure out the structure. So,
My feeling is that the plans as presented are a significant improvement in the appearance of the building, in keeping with the district.
yeah, I agree. I have no comments. I would recommend we approve.
You like that metal?
No, sir. I don't. I do not. But that's what's there, so they can match it.
The roof that's on there is the one we've been trying to tell
That's-
people not to do.
Absolutely nothing about that roof, but.
But that's, it's up there,
All
no issue.
right, so I'll make a motion that we approve as submitted.
Second,
All right, please answer, call your name. David,
yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
and I say yes.
All right. Good luck, y'all. Good night.
All right, y'all, we made it. Last one.
And 102 Congress Street.
The only comment I have for this one is that it would need a zoning variance or an administrative adjustment for the deck that was built because it encroaches within the setback by 1 foot. An administrative adjustment is given by the zoning administrator. It's just a letter request to Tim McCall.
What side of the house is the?
So it is on this is skewed. Dorchester County's overlay is kind of wonky, but it's on this side of the house, so it's within that side setback.
Okay. Is that where they're building the new house on that side?
It's to the left.
Oh, okay.
Now I've actually got two surveys. That's pretty honest.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's like that, but
Yeah, it's 14 foot from the house to the property line. I didn't realize it was.
yeah, because it's a porch, or deck, and it's connected to the house, it has to adhere to the primary structure setbacks, which would be 15 feet from the side. Normally, with an accessory structure, it's much less restrictive, but
Well, I'm sorry you're having to come in and beg
Yeah, I'm coming in asking.
apology for that, but it sure looks a heck of a lot better from what it did before. So you did a good job of doing it, even though you didn't get permission.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
We they have plywood over those old transoms and stuff, and all the glass had been knocked out, but they only tore that plywood off. It was just awesome. They had like these two old transoms and one door, so we were trying to definitely keep it historical as much as possible. The part where we did do some party plank board and batten side there, that was, you could tell the original house was the front little section there, and it went back to, you can basically see where this little bump out on the very back. So not like a, not from that side. It wasn't like any.
This was some addition.
It was probably 40 feet old.
My bag with that.
Just had like a lot of lumber, so we did that just to kind of almost to call attention to that it wasn't. in fact. The rest of the house, probably 50-60% of all the siding on the house is. Again, my error, we did that without knowing that was. So we replaced 4 windows that were busted out and damaged, and we kept almost all the windows in the original windows in the house, the true divided glass. There's four windows that we put in, 3 in the bedrooms, one in the bathroom on the very back. Just to have better rules for egress getting out, but they were severe. So basically, you just ask for, see if that could be allowed. And, so basically.
So the windows that you replaced, did you match the mullion details?
No, they are not matched.
Okay, they're not. And so can you show us on the elevations which ones they were?
So the.
That one matches, yeah.
Yeah, because they had a 6/6. Most all the original windows had a 6/6 grid pattern.
Mm-hmm.
The next picture, I think that has kind of the side. Where it shows the board and batten side. So the one window where that yellow dotted line is,
Mhm.
the little small window that's in the bathroom right there,
Mhm.
and then the window to the left over there.
Right.
And I think I realized I forgot to put a picture of the on the right side of the house. There's two bedrooms that are the same. So that was before.
And the two on the right side of the house, they face the neighbor, they face the backyard.
They face the neighbor of the new house.
Okay. And what's the window pattern for those guys?
It is 2/2.
2/2. And when you say 2/, okay.
Yeah,
It's got 1 million in the middle. Right. Gotcha. Okay. So did you do all this without a permit?
But we had a permit, but we did not have a permit to replace those 4 windows.
Gotcha.
The
Got it,
permit
got it.
description is on my staff report. So if you look at what I have up now, that was, it has the
Right. Gotcha.
verbiage for that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We were doing electrical, heat and air, plumbing, and all that kind of stuff. And really, that's where it kind of got caught. We were doing all our rough-in inspections and he's like, hey, you can't, need to get permission.
Mhm.
We're not on the windows and
Mhm.
the side.
Gotcha.
And I didn't realize the deck was just a foot because if probably easier than a variance is probably just taking a foot off.
That's up to you.
Yeah.
You can always ask. You can always ask.
Yeah.
The administrative adjustment is for 10% of the requirement. So, yeah. But that's just with an email, really.
That's a zoning.
So yeah, Tim, that's a zoning issue. Tim McCall, our zoning administrator, grants those. So you can email him and talk to him about it. I'll send you his contact information if you don't have it. But if he can't issue an administrative adjustment for it, then it would be a zoning variance. But I would think that because it's in existing and it's not right up against someone's house and it's a 15-foot setback for a deck, the odds would be in your favor.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, I would say since you've done such a great job restoring this place and keeping all the details on the part that was most important, my vote would be that we would approve it.
Yeah, and I've driven by it and been stunned by how nice it looks, because it has looked like the top picture there for most of the 50 years I've been in town.
Everybody, apparently, I think a lot of people were going in and just really trying to steal the property from the people because it was bad condition. We had to redo the whole floor system. There was rain when you walk in, there's rain just pouring in off the roof and stuff. But yeah, this is what we do a lot of these historical homes, but mostly downtown Charleston. But I love this little house. It's such a cool little neighborhood house.
And I think the way you treated the columns is extremely appropriate for that house.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
There wasn't anything there except, what, four by fours? Yeah. So
They had torn off a lot of, it was just like literally plywood soffit was just like hanging over. They didn't have anything. They let it go.
yeah, there was somebody living in somewhat that shape for a number of years. Well, I'm all for granting you.
We need a motion to
I'll make
approve
a.
all the work that's been done.
Would you like to make this one? I need somebody else to do it.
I'll make a motion that we accept the windows and the.
Second.
Okay, answer for me, David,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
and I say yes. So,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
thank you. It really is a,
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll send you your certificate of approval tomorrow.
I have not.
I got such a one that they gave us.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna bring mine. 'cause
All right,
it's-
I don't have anything for miscellaneous.
No,
No,
I do.
I want to go home. I said I don't have anything for miscellaneous. No.
What fence?
I guess he's wanting to do a fence.
Yeah, that was on the.
Yeah, he hasn't submitted anything for the fence, so even if he wants to, that's fine, but he needs to submit for it.
That's on the drawing.
Yeah. Mhm. No, well, 6 foot, definitely, he can't go over 3.5 feet if it's not see-through in the front yard. It can be up to 4 feet if it's see-through, like a picket fence. But yeah, privacy fences typically go before the board if they're on a corner lot. But we've also been workshopping some changes to our guidelines about privacy fences, so. Mhm.
But I just was gonna ask. Yeah. Trying to think 6 foot, how it would look from inside the house, but.
We are going to be discouraging privacy fences in the historic district. We just haven't gotten the verbiage into the guidelines just yet.
Condition blinds and
I'm
shades.
gonna build next door. Okay, so his timing's perfect because it's great to have him looking good as. my lot's
Absolutely.
Looking good as well, but I was worried that I'd be living next door to. Used to swear a little bit. The neighbors across the street used to say that when they sat outside, I could hear it creaking. They were worried it might just sort of
Fall over.
But it looks really good.
Yeah,
They've
it
done a
does.
really nice job. It looks stunning.
Bye-bye,
Hi, Carol.
thanks.
Yeah.
Alrighty. We got a motion to adjourn?
Can I get a
Yeah.
motion, please?
Anybody not want to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we.
Do you have anything that you want to bring up to us for?
All right, I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor?